So we are now here with TV personality Riz Khan. He is an anchor at Al Jazeera International in Washington and hosts one of the network's flagship programs. Mr. Khan, you take part in a panel on the social and moral implications of the economic crisis. It seems clear that what we are living through is more than just an economic downturn. But what else is it?
I think people have realized that the values have changed. You know, there was a period, and this is what I want to talk about in the conference. There's a period of excitement with growth that came, and everyone was desperate for quick riches and quick success. And in that effort to get all that money and grow quickly, certainly in certain parts of the world as well, America included, that consumerism left a lot of people feeling empty after a while. They realized that they were buying so many things and didn't end up with much in sort of emotional and spiritual sense. Now, I don't mean religion. What I'm talking about more is that people understand that life is about people, not just about their belongings. And I think the economic crunch has made people have to rethink about how they view what their goals are in life. A lot of people made a lot of money, a lot of people lost a lot of money, but I think a lot of people at the bottom end have been hurt because, of course, when jobs are cut, it's usually those who have no say that are cut. So I think, society is having to rethink its values.
Okay. You have a cross-cultural background and you travel a lot. How does the general perception of the crisis differ between different regions or different cultures in the world?
How does as in the news channel, you mean itself?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we try to be, as a channel, as an international channel, we try to be very much focused on a global perspective. Our audience is the English language speaking world, so we try to make sure that we're focused on the audience across the board. It's not for just one group of people. But what the channel tries to do is look at issues that are largely missed by other international channels. So, for example, we cover more of the developing world, go more into Africa, go more into Latin America, into Asia. And I think the stories that come out of there are more human. We get to see more than just the top end, the elite, and the elite financial news or the elite social news, and political news too. So we try to make sure that we're covering a broader perspective of the world. And I think that also highlights the way the economic crisis has hit the average person in the world, not just the executives and the CEOs. Okay.
Is it a matter of culture and values, how societies and how individual people respond to the crisis or respond to what they experience now?
I think there's definitely a different response depending on which part of the world one looks at. Those in certain parts of the world have a different perspective anyway. For example, I saw in the Middle East how some countries and some areas grew like crazy. And everyone went in there. It was like a feeding frenzy. People came in and they were just, we're going to make tons of money. We're going to do this. We've got this. Everything's doubling in value. And then it wasn't realistic. So how people came out of that was interesting. In some parts of the world, I mean, for example, we saw in the Gulf region, people, once the economic crisis hit, they were fleeing the country because they said, we don't want to be stuck with debts here because the laws are very strict about debt. In America, of course, people are panicked because of the job issue, and the economic crisis has made unemployment a big issue. And I think each area is handling it slightly differently. And of course, social values will affect the way people handle it emotionally. There are some parts of the world where they were more conservative, and they were less concerned about growth, and they've been less hard hit, So their values are a little more centered on the society.
How will this affect the public support for globalization and economic integration, maybe particularly outside the Western world?
That's actually a very interesting question because I think we can't escape the fact we are increasingly globalizing. There's no escaping the fact that the world is more and more interconnected. Whatever happens economically, the internet will keep going. It's internet generation 2.0 and the next wave. Twitter, communication like text messaging, all this has made the world a much smaller place. That won't change. But I think people are a little more protectionist about how they will handle their economics. And of course, we're seeing people traveling less because they may have less money. But in the long run, I think you can't avoid this world becoming more interconnected. We're destined to be one village eventually, I guess.
Okay. If we look forward, what's your message to the student participants of this symposium? What will they inherit from the crisis, and how should they prepare for their future responsibility?
One thing I've been telling students and young people for a little time now is don't be so panicked about creating a career path too early on. Life is too short to think just about if I take this job now, this will get me to this position and I'll be an executive by this time and I will make this much money. Life is too short to think about those things. Now is the time when you're young and you're relatively free to go out there and actually get an adventure. to have an adventure and get a what I call an interesting story. This is something I picked up in watching a film where the message was the story you create for your life is the most important thing. And so I think going out there and having an adventure now, it's more important than a career path because I think it will change perspectives of any person. Anyone going out there and doing something exciting may stop and think, well, listen, this is really better for me, or this is different, I appreciate this more. So my message is, don't panic too much about work just yet. Go out there, have an adventure, and then think about where you might end up after that.
Mr. Khan, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.